What's up, guys? So I just wanted to inform everyone that this is our last episode of the current season. If you're not familiar with the show, we work in seasons of 10 episodes, and we take some time off, a couple of weeks, just so we can gather emails and make sure that the show is up to par every single week. So this is the time that we ask all of you to reach out to us, send us emails if you want to be a part of the show, and we'll go through all of them. We're still recording things, but it'll be a couple of weeks before we put out another episode. Just wanted to let everyone know. Thank you so much for your continued support, and enjoy the show. Welcome back to Other People's Lives. I'm Joe Santagato.
I'm Greg Dybec.
Just want to give a quick shout out to all our patrons who are supporting our show at patreon.com/OPL show, where you can get extra episodes and follow-ups with previous guests and access to our Discord, so you can talk to some of our guests as well.
Yes. Today, we are speaking with a woman who has a poop fetish. This is also known as scatophilia, as I understand, or scat for short. It is the sexual arousal and pleasure from feces. So thank you for coming on the show today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, look, if anyone's a fan of OPL, you know that we don't kink shame on this show. But I think it's safe to say that this is probably one of the more extreme fetishes, people would label it as. So you have a fully captive audience here, especially from us. Like for me personally, I can't even have sex if I took a poop like within the last 2 hours. So like this for me is really interesting. But to kick it off, how do you begin to, understand that you have this fetish and this interest?
Yeah, so, well, first I want to say I definitely recognize that it's like weird and super gross to most people. But I guess I realized I had this fetish when I was pretty young. I think when I was kind of starting puberty and, you start to get kind of like those turned on feelings and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? When I just one day I wanted that, like I wanted to see women pooping, and that was really hard for me to grapple with because I'm a woman myself. This was how I realized actually that I was bisexual, is I realized I wanted to see women poop. And I think I realized it when I read an article one day on like a health website, and it was about like constipation or diarrhea or something. And I was like, oh my God, what are these weird feelings in my private areas? Like, what is going on here?
So even reading about poop is like, it does something for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of like subcategories of this fetish, and that's one of them. Is like there's like erotica and stuff that you can find online. It's literally people describing them pooping, and it definitely turns me on.
Like poop fan fiction.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, except it's like the back of a cereal box for fiber and staying regular.
Yeah. So wait,
What I was gonna ask, how old are you at this point?
I was, I think, 11 or 12.
and
Okay.
so you just figured it out by like when you would read about it, or you would kind of, I don't know, like when you go to the
Yeah.
bathroom, is there some sort of arousal from that?
Yes and no. It kind of depends. I mean, obviously, like most people, I use the bathroom every day. And it's not always like at a time, it's not always convenient for me to stop and like, masturbate and like be turned on and like enjoy the experience. But when I do have that time, then that's like something that I do. And I do get turned on by pooping myself.
Wait, okay, wait, sorry. I got confused there for a second. But so when you have time, you'll masturbate while shitting.
Absolutely.
Well, all right.
Okay. So how with a fetish like this, so you're young and you start to feel these feelings, how do you begin to act that out, and act on these feelings? Masturbating while pooping is definitely one of them, but beyond that, is this something that you have a desire to I guess experience with partners as well, and just how do you explore it further?
Kind of. So I think in the very beginning, I mean, I'm young. It's the early 2000s. The internet is officially a thing. Internet porn is officially a thing. And I Googled it. Like I Googled like girls pooping, or, the way you would Google anything else. Like, some people sit down and Google boobs or whatever. I just Googled girls pooping. And I realized that, like, it wasn't just me, and it is a thing. It is a fetish that people have. And I think you asked about partners. So that's something that's tricky in this community. Finding someone who's also into this is really, it's really difficult. And I have met people online. I've been on a date with a guy who also shared this fetish. We ultimately didn't end up working out, but it's not necessary for me to have a partner that shares this fetish, but it's preferred.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, but partly because, I mean, I'm assuming this is something that you'll practice on your own, even if your partner's not into it for the rest of your life, correct?
Yes, exactly. And I think as long as I'm with someone who is okay with me doing that on my own, they don't have to be involved at all. As long as they're like understanding and don't think I'm the most disgusting, crazy person alive, then I'm good.
So can I just like, what does, you don't have to be insanely graphic. And if this is like too crazy of a question, then, feel free to tell me to fuck off. But like when you're describing, like, when I have the time that I'll be pooping and also masturbating, like, is that something you're doing like on the toilet? Or are you in your room? Like, is there like a diaper involved or something?
No, that's a really good question. So people with this fetish will do different things. Like, they may be into doing it just on the toilet. Diapers is a thing. It's not my thing, but some people prefer to like poop themselves in a diaper and then like masturbate. I'm not super into the messy stuff. I'm more into like the action itself. So I prefer to do it like in the bathroom, on the toilet. I have pooped my pants before, like on purpose, and then, masturbated. Like, it's something I've done before, but it's not what I prefer.
Okay, because there, like anything, there's a spectrum, and I know with scat or poop play, there's things like eating it. I've heard, like smearing it on people, on yourself. But for you, it's more focused on just the action of actually pooping.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a big misconception. And, I think for a lot of people, it is like, it's about rubbing it on your body or doing it on a partner or having your partner eat it. But that's absolutely not what I'm interested in. It's the actual like activity itself.
Okay, and there's two things that shocked me, I think, initially. Is one, with a fetish like this, you kind of just assume it's something that does take place with a partner, like you said, like kind of rubbing and smearing it, but not the case with you. There's kind of that solo aspect to it. And I think the other one is a lot of people would probably typically assume that this is more of a male fetish, but you are not a male, so that is also interesting.
Yes, that's made it very difficult for me to find a partner that's into this, and also just to kind of be generally accepted in this community. It's, when you reveal online on like a forum or whatever, wherever it is, you reveal that, hey, I'm a woman that's into this, you're immediately just, sexualized and
You're a superstar.
berated.
Do you say superstar?
Yeah, basically, like, it's like rare, so it's like, oh my god, like
Like a unicorn or something?
I mean, I assume.
Yeah, no, that's very accurate.
So I mean, also we talked about like the smearing and the eating and stuff like that. Like, have you ever experimented with that sort of thing?
I have experimented with smearing it on myself, and I wasn't super into it. I don't ever see myself eating poop. I just don't think, like, I know it's like,
Me
I
neither.
won't, it's a weird place to draw the line, because like I won't draw the line with like, oh, like being turned on and masturbating while pooping, but like eating it is like, That's a whole different ball game.
There's got to be some health risks involved too, no?
Yeah, that's like something that has been kind of hard for me to figure out, because people who do eat poop, like people in the community that do, are adamant that it is like safe. And I'm like, dude, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know
I don't
about
think
that.
so. Yeah.
That's oh boy. That's a lot.
Yeah, I don't want to find out.
Okay. So
wait, hold on. I just want to say that I kind of like, because when you take a, okay, this is just like, there's no other way to clean this up, but when you take a big shit, right?
Yeah.
It's the feeling, I understand. It's like that release. It, in a way, it feels good. Like, you know, not necessarily like in an arousing way, I would say, but just definitely like a relief of, you know, whatever. So I guess in a way I'm trying to put my mind, you know, in like your mind in a way, like trying to understand your point of view, where it's like that, is it the release feeling, or is it sort of the just knowing that you are pooping? Like, is it actually the poop, or is it the feeling you get from it?
It's more of the feeling you get. It's definitely like that release, and that kind of like, you're like, oh, thank God finally I'm able to poop. It's like that relief feeling. It's also, I think, because it's such like a taboo thing, especially for women, women don't talk about pooping. We don't, laugh about it with our friends. It's kind of like something that's only done in private. And so I think it's also like the fact that it's so taboo, and it is so like disgusting, like people are revolted by it. I think that's also why it's so interesting to me, why I'm so into it.
Oh, it's fascinating to me.
It's that sense of like adventurism, and we've talked about it with some other fetishes too, where if it feels wrong, that makes it feel better.
Right.
But do you tell a lot of people, like friends or close friends, that you have this? Because like you said, there is a general grossness around poop. I think the majority of people are understandably repulsed by poop. They don't want to talk about poop. So I imagine there's a sort of greater risk of being judged for this than maybe some other kinks and fetishes. So do you tell a lot of people?
No, I do not. I don't have any friends that know. The only people that I've talked with this about are people that I've met like anonymously online, or my current partner that I'm seeing. I haven't told them like the full extent. I haven't said, hey, this is my fetish. I've just said like, hey, I think it's like kind of hot when like girls are pooping. Do you think so too? And they were like, no. And I was like, okay, bye. That's all I want to talk about then for now.
So I've heard stories of people, pooping on their partner. Is that like, how do you experience this with a partner that's into it?
Yeah, so voyeur is the big piece of it. So watching them or having them watch me, that's something that I'm interested in. I mean, to be honest, if I had a partner that was into this, I would be willing to experiment with like pooping on one another. Like, it's something I'd be willing to try, but it's not something I think that I'm interested in.
Interesting. How does this apply to sort of everyday life? Because it's similar in the sense that we spoke to a woman who has a sneeze fetish, and you walk outside, especially during allergy season, people are sneezing all around. So for you walk into a public bathroom that's like fits multiple people, and someone's just absolutely like letting it go in the women's room. I mean, is that something that you think about, or does that turn sexual ever for you, or is it just kind of case by case?
It's case by case, honestly. And I try not to make it sexual, because like my thing is, I never want anyone else to be involved in my fetish or my sexual interest that isn't like willingly consenting. And it's, it's kind of a gray area where if I'm in the bathroom and say listening to the person next to me poop, it's kind of a gray area on if they've consented to me, sitting there being turned on by it. So like it's something I try to shut out just because I feel kind of weird about it. But it is like it's something that is attractive to me and that, you know, does turn me on to like be in the bathroom and like the person next to me is pooping.
That's so interesting because like I'm I'm just picturing that person being like, I'm trying to be as quiet as possible, and you're over there like, just fire away, please. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and what about it? So I guess, you know, what you just said is like you get some sort of satisfaction from listening or watching other people pooping. Is there anything that makes one poop better than another poop? Like, is it like I don't know. Like, basically I'm asking what's your favorite kind of poop?
That's a fair question. I think I prefer some like a poop that's soft, but not like full on diarrhea water out the ass. Like, but like still like soft, like maybe like soft serve ice cream.
Okay. Does smell come into play? Is sense a factor, or like texture?
Yeah, I think texture from like what you can visibly like see is it's important to me. I like a pretty like smooth, soft texture. Smell, I do not enjoy. Um, and there are people with this fetish that, you know, smell is like a really big piece to them. But for me, it's never been a thing. I think I'm just as grossed out by the smell of poop as anyone else on this planet.
Wow. That is so fascinating because, like, I mean, the smell of poop, I think unanimously, I mean, besides the, I would say, small portion of people that enjoy it, is like bad. And for you to be still into it, even with being sort of grossed out by the smell, I mean, it's sort of just a testament to how much you'll kind of love it.
Yeah, I mean, like it's weird and I don't fully understand it, but it's almost like yeah, the smell isn't the best, but it's not like a deal breaker for me.
Right.
I may be reaching. Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say because there are times where like, and Greg, I don't know if I don't know if you agree to this, but sometimes like if you have like a crazy fart and it smells really bad, a part of you is like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, you're interested in it and you're almost proud of it in a way, or it's just that weird mystique of like, this was in my body a second ago.
When you're not in public, like you don't want to disturb, but you're like, that fucking stinks, and like I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? When you're on your own. So I kind of
there's something there.
Right. What were you gonna say?
I might be reaching here, but do you like try to poop every day, and does your diet reflect the type of poop you want and the regularity?
Great question. I do try to poop every day, but not just for, you know, sexual reasons. It's also just a healthy thing to do.
Right.
I recommend that everyone poops once a day just to keep things going, keep things regular. But it is like, yeah, if there's like a day where I don't poop and it was like a day where I was just like chilling around the house and kind of like, you know, enjoyed it a little more, then it's kind of like a bummer. But as for diet, I follow a very specific diet, but it is because I have gluten intolerance, and so like I already have to be so careful with what I eat. So I don't really eat based on my future poops. I eat based on like medical needs.
Got it. Okay. And another question is, do you still have sexual experiences and sexual arousal that do not involve poop?
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like I have a naturally high sex drive, and I am still able to enjoy, you know, sexual intercourse without the poop side of things. However, I will say, if poop is involved, like that is like, I am not as turned on if poop isn't involved. I'll say that.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but is there any sort of enjoyment from when you have to go to the bathroom but you can't? at the moment?
Kind of. For me, not so much, just because it's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But like for other people, like the thought of someone like really having to go and being in a situation where they can't, like that is very sexy to me.
So like to someone to get to the point of having to poop their pants would turn you on. That scenario would turn you on.
Yeah, for sure.
Do like 5 years ago, forget about it. It was just like, I don't know what was wrong with my diet, but like all the time that was happening.
So would you, I know that, it's not always possible to have a partner that would involve themselves in poop play as well, but do you require that your partner at least be open about it? Because like I'm poop prude. Like I put poop on a pedestal and I make it bigger than it is, and I don't talk about it. I'm guilty of pretending it doesn't exist sometimes, even like in relationships I've been in. It's just not something I talk about, and not something that, or even something that I'll try to hide. It's like the classic, like, oh, I'm on a date with this person and, let me run the water and let this not be a thing. But would you require your partner to be more open about it, as, this is just a natural, bodily function?
Yeah, I mean, I prefer that they just be cool about it. I don't think I'm definitely not poop shy. And I think it's super awkward when you're in you start a relationship with someone and you have to kind of like, for the first few months, act like you don't poop. Like, I don't want to do that. I've done that before. I've decided like, going forward, I just want to be open about it. And I don't want it to be like this big secret thing that we're both trying to hide.
Was there
Right.
ever a time where you kind of suppressed this, or did you always sort of embrace it?
No, I've suppressed this on and off for like a very long time. And I, have stayed up at night and just like prayed that it goes away. It's caused significant distress for me in the past because, you know, it's such an uncommon fetish, and I really, really want someone who shares it with me, but that is just so hard to find, and so it's really frustrating. And I definitely, have spent a lot of time wishing I was normal, and I just got, turned on by normal things. But I think I kind of came to the conclusion that like it's not going away. And if I look back into my childhood, like there were hints of it being present when I was very, very young. And I'm starting to think maybe it was just something I was born with and something that I'm going to have forever. So I might as well embrace it and be open about it.
That's the amazing part to me, because just having this conversation and being able to have a fun conversation around it, you've clearly embraced this and you own it. Sure, it doesn't mean you parade around and tell every friend and everyone you meet that you have this, but you seem comfortable with it, and that's what always amazes me most about these conversations.
Yeah, I think more than anything, I just like want people to understand that, this isn't something I asked for. I'm not some, crazy sicko like people seem to think that people with poop fetishes are. I'm just a normal person who somehow one day was like, oh, I'm turned on by this. And now that's just the way I am.
Yeah, I always am so fascinated by these things because, I don't think that I have any sort of like fetish that's worth talking about really. But when I hear about them, I love hearing about them. And this one specifically, because I feel like this one's kind of up there on the list of like, if you're into this, you got like, this is like one of the fetishes that not a lot of people have. So I always love, the reason why I asked you that question is because I always talk about how I enjoy hearing people talk about it and how they've just embraced it, because I feel like so many people, as far as like communication, like they don't really talk about the things that they're into sexually. So they just settle for a very mundane, sex life because they're into these certain things. So I always am, again, fascinated by, people who are just like, I'm going to embrace this, even though not a lot of people have this thing. And most people would think it's like gross or whatever, but I'm into it and I got it and I'm going to make it work. Like, I think it's really cool, honestly.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I don't think I could live with myself if I didn't learn to embrace this and accept it. I think it's been a really big part of me kind of growing up and becoming more mature. And yeah.
Yeah, totally. And it just goes to prove, too, that there are extreme versions of everything. And I just think with this fetish, that is the first place that people's minds take them is, okay, if this person is into this, they're sitting in their room covered in their own poop, eating a poop lasagna, not having sex unless their partner's covered with poop. Like, and we've seen those extremes talked about or made fun of. But, to just hear this kind of more moderate, version of it where it's private, it's, you're not pooping in public. Like, it's still a very private thing to you that, you are turned on by, just makes it much more understandable.
Yeah. I mean, I have no hate for the people who do want to cover themselves in their shit and eat a shit lasagna. I mean, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, you do you. You might make yourself sick. Good luck with that. Like, I don't have any hate for people who are into the more extreme stuff, but I think people would understand the fetish more if they saw that the extreme part is like a very small percentage and more of us are just kind of into, you know, casual pooping, the act itself.
Totally. And I'm learning too through these conversations that consent has a bigger meaning also. And it's not always just between two people, but it seems like people who are within certain communities or have fetishes take the more broad idea of consent very seriously. And that's that you're not forcing other people to take part in your fetish or witness your fetish. So you're not, going to walk around covered in your own poop and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's a common misconception too with people with fetishes because, I mean, we've done the show long enough to know that a lot of the people that we've talked to, that's like a big thing where they're not into just like forcing people to be a part of it or, anything like that. They put a foot down when it comes to like, this is something that you do in private and you make sure people consent to it. Like, I would never do this like outside with people around and no one's like consenting to it. So I just wanted that to be noted because I feel like that's a common misconception when people think about fetishes. They think that, someone would trick someone into this sort of thing or something like that. And that's just not the case.
Oh my gosh, no, never. I would never do that.
Yeah, we an episode a little while ago, the person in a master slave relationship, obviously everyone's different and that was a very specific kind of relationship. But I remember some outrage from people in other, certain sub communities who had fetishes that were upset that she went out in public with her boyfriend's cum on her face because that sort of broke that cardinal rule, which was interesting.
Yeah, I would say if, the script was a little different and it were someone going out with poop on them, if that were their fetish, that's a hard no from me. I think that's absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, that's a big ask.
Wow. What would you say to anyone listening who, has this potential fetish or kink or is just interested in even exploring this behavior that just has no idea where to start and, might be suppressing it at this moment like you were in the past?
Yeah, I think it's hard because as much as I want to say, oh, just love yourself, just accept yourself, that's something that they're going to have to find in themselves over time. I will say, when it comes to if it's something like you're thinking about exploring, don't be nervous about it. There is some information online. Reddit is a great resource for this fetish. Definitely just get the taboo side, unless that's what turns you on, out of your head, and just figure out what you like and spend time alone. Don't do anything too messy because it smells really bad. Yeah, good luck to you.
Very well said. And I have to say, talking to you has been very interesting and it's been a delight. So thank you for coming on and kind of talking to us about this because I know you said earlier that you don't really tell people. So I appreciate you coming on the show and talking about it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I hope that, I could at least shed some light on this fetish and help people understand a little better.
100%. I think you did a great job of that.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
one. Before we get to our final thoughts, this episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Guys, we talk about sex a lot on this show, so let's talk about sex right now. With Blue Chew, you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence boost in bed. So listen up. It's bluechew.com, blue like the color, and Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. And Blue Chew is the fast and easy way to enhance your performance in bed, and it's prescribed online by licensed physicians, so you don't have to go to a doctor's office. You don't have to wait in line at the pharmacy. Ships right to your door in discreet packaging. And right now, we've got a special deal for our listeners. You can visit bluechew.com and you can get your first shipment free when you use the promo code OPL. All you pay is the $5 in shipping. Again, that's bluechew.com, B-L-U-E chew.com, promo code OPL, and try it for free. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, faster choice, and we thank them for being a sponsor of this podcast.
Our next sponsor is Native, and Native makes these deodorants that are safe for your body and safe for the environment. They actually just released their plastic-free deodorant, which is 100% paperboard and 0% plastic, and they also come in great scents. They have cucumber and mint, coconut and vanilla, which is my favorite. It smells delicious. Honestly, I feel like eating the thing, but I won't. Lavender and rose, and they actually have new scents right now. They have sweet peach, coastal oak and amber, cactus flower and poppy, and apple and honeysuckle. Okay, these are delicious smelling deodorants that they're making that are safe for your body. They're aluminum free, and like I said, now they are plastic free as well. And they are moving towards being 100% plastic free by 2023 with their plastic free by 23 movement that they are creating here. But we love Native deodorant because they not only smell good, and they are just as good at protecting the odor and keeping the odor in and keep you smelling fresh as any other deodorant brand, but they are safe and they're good for the environment. And you can go on Native and get yourself some if you'd like at nativedeo.com/OPL, or use the promo code OPL at checkout. That is native, NATIVEDEO.com/OPL for 20% off your first order. Okay. And I have a bunch of Native deodorant. It's the only deodorant that I use. And I stand by them. I love what they're doing for the environment. And, the scents are just amazing. I find them, better than your, usual smells that you find in stores. These are much better, and they smell more natural, and they're safer. And, so I'm standing by Native. So go check them out. Again, that is nativedeo.com/OPL, or use the promo code OPL at checkout for 20% off your first order.
I will say, before we say anything, I can't wait for everyone who listens to this episode, the first shit that they take after this episode. It's all they're going to be thinking about.
Yeah.
You can't pay for that type of marketing.
No, I know. That type of marketing. We have now entered the minds of everyone when they shit. But what I was going to say is that, what I said earlier on the episode is that I get it in a way, because when you take like a poop that you really had to take, in a way, it's like, it feels good. It's like taking a long pee. Like, you ever take a long pee and your body just shakes? Mm-hmm. So there is something about that is like attractive. And it's interesting because, obviously there is levels to fetishes. And with hers, it seems like the most, logical one, where it's like during the act. You know what I mean? The smearing, the eating, that is a lot, honestly. But the act, like, I get how, like, that feels good. There's a release. Like, I kind of understand that in a way. But, I mean, what an episode. That was great.
Yeah, there is a correlation between sex and shitting for sure. Even if it's I don't know. I don't know the boundaries of it. But remember
Wait, why are you saying
like,
that?
Okay, why I was saying that is, remember Blumpkins?
Yeah, but I think that's like an urban legend that like you get a blowjob while you're.
I
taking
know
a dump.
someone. I know someone who did it.
But I feel like that's more of like a for the story type of thing. But I guess not in
For
this
sure.
community. We should have asked her about Blumpkins. You should have asked that.
Yeah, but okay, no, I do agree. It's like a story to tell, and the person that I know who got it, this wasn't a fetish or anything. But I guess what I mean is, you're like the simultaneous releases. I could see how there's something there, like an orgasm and a shit, which could like fall into the category of orgasmic in a way.
I don't even know if I could shit with a boner.
No, I don't know how that happens.
I don't think I work like that. Like, I honestly don't think I could do that. Like, it doesn't feel like my body's capable.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, I say this every time we do a fetish episode, but I do love when people embrace it. I was just about to say embrace their shit, but in this case, it literally, like, just embrace it, and they kind of just, like, practice it, like, fuck it. Even as, as crazy or as outlandish people might think it is, there is something awesome about people just owning it, Like, I love it when people do that. But it also, dude, how about the fact that she said she's not interested in the smell at all? Like, the smell is, like, most of the shit. Am I crazy?
Yeah, no, most of my assumptions were proven wrong kind of right away.
I thought
smell would be enjoyable.
Of
I
course.
thought that'd be a huge part of it, because that's like the most accessible part of it.
Yeah,
The
like
smells-
people, like humans are into scents, You ever see in movies where guys, like, they're in a girl's room and they'll smell their underwear? Like, I don't get that. I still don't understand that. What are you smelling for? Like, you're gonna smell detergent. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just it's weird. But anyway, I'm saying, like, the aroma of shit is so bad to me, but to some people the bad smell is good.
I guess, but she didn't even say it was good. It's
No,
just
she didn't like it. I'm saying, like, in general.
but for some people, yeah.
I mean, it even makes less sense to me that she feels like, I don't like the smell. I just like I'd like knowing the texture, because she didn't mention anything about, like, actually touching it, like throwing it around or anything. She just likes the act, but she does have, like, a preferred sort of poop.
Also, yeah, good luck to everyone who eats soft serve ice cream after this episode too.
Enjoy.
You'll also be thinking about it.
At least one person is having ice cream as they're listening.
I hope so. Yeah, no, that really flipped a lot of my assumptions upside down. But I guess it comes down to what you said. It's like the acceptance is the cool part, because majority of people will not be able to understand this. I think there's just too many factors about poop that turn people off, and that we're repulsed by, and that's just the way it is for most people. But it's always interesting to hear these stories too, of how these feelings start to develop at a young age, and then it's just sort of that battle with yourself of, I feel like I should be suppressing this, but this isn't going anywhere, so how do I explore it in a healthy way? And we've been lucky to speak to people who have kind of been through that journey and have come out on the other side, where it just seems like they can experience it with a healthy balance in their life.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it's really cool. She explained it perfectly, and I think I have a better insight on sort of why it would be. And it was also interesting how she's like, I wish I was just kind of turned on by, like, normal stuff, which she is, she mentioned that, but it was a fun episode. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, like I said, poop and me, we don't mix. I don't talk about it a lot.
First of all, I just want to say two things before we end this episode. One, you said poop prude. That was funny. Two, you guys were mentioning poop lasagna, and I was over here almost losing
Yeah, that was
my
the
mind.
worst example. First thing that came to mind.
Because poop lasagna, lasagna is not easy to make. So
No.
poop lasagna would take a whole bunch of effort to make.
Yeah, I mean,
gross.
lasagna kind of lends itself to poop. Maybe not the whole thing, but I mean, there's layers that you can get it in there.
All right.
But anyway, I am poop prude, but that's something that I want to work on, not in a sexual way,
Right.
at all. But we all poop. We all poop. I'm talking to myself
We
here,
poop.
but like we poop, and that's that.
We
My
poop.
wife poops. My mom poops. Everyone poops.
The
I got to get
Pope
better
poops.
with that.
The Pope's pooping.
The
bro.
Pope poops.
Yeah, everywhere pooping. And if you're not pooping, you're weird.
Yeah, well,
In a
that's
way, if
problem.
you don't poop, that's bad. So
All right, guys.
anyway,
That's
if you have something that you think fits for the show, reach out to us. Go to oplshow.com and fill out the form. Send us an email. We go through all of them. If it fits, we'll schedule something, and we'll get back to you.
Check us out on Instagram at OPL Podcast, where we post clips, patreon.com/OPL show. The community is growing rapidly. Thank you to all you guys. We have a ton of bonus episodes. Also good to, if you want to catch up on some content while we're in between seasons, there's a lot of bonus episodes, and there's still going to be more bonus episodes coming out during our off season. So check out patreon.com/OPL show. And
Yes.
that's all we got.
That's all we got. And thank you guys so much for supporting the show. It means a lot. This current season, our show has grown so much, and we appreciate that so much. Thank you guys so much for spreading the word and all of that. We love you all. See you guys next season.